Directed by Ryan Coogler, in another entry in the long series of collaborations with Michael B. Jordan, Sinners is a movie that prominently features Michael B. Jordan and his twin brother, the other Michael B. Jordan. Set in Mississippi in the early 1930s, a time known for its extreme love and deep connection between people of different races, Sinners is a movie that highlights the deep racism that Irish vampires have against the rest of humanity. The movie opens with a sombering shot of a young man arriving at a church after a particularly bad day of playing the guitar, and after entering to be embraced by his family and loved ones, the movie rewinds to a day earlier. We're introduced to identical twins, played by Michael B. Jordan, and also Michael B. Jordan. Smoke and Stack, both World War I veterans and gangsters who had previously worked for Al Capone in Chicago. After ripping off the mob and stealing ammo, booze and guns, the only three things any American needs to have fun, they've returned back to their hometown after spending 7 years away in Chicago to open up their own juke joint after buying an old sawmill from an old fat racist man. The movie subtly suggests to us that this character is indeed racist due to him being a white person in the South of 1930s America who likes to dress up as a marshmallow and be called a Grand Wizard or something. Dude reads way too much Lord of the Rings. Smoke and Stack's younger cousin Sammy is a talented guitar player and singer, and is recruited by his cousins to perform at their club on its opening night, despite his pastor father warning him about the dangers of blues music and its ability to invite sin in, due to it being common knowledge that the devil likes to do a little boogie. Undeterred, he joins them anyway, as he wants to use his love of music to take him away from this place so he can make something for himself. Meanwhile, Smoke stops in town to get some supplies, where he almost immediately shoots two men for attempting to steal from his truck, as both twins have quite the ruthless reputation of blowing holes into other men's bums. Not only are the brothers just picking up supplies, but they're also making the rounds to recruit everyone they think that can help them with their ambitious opening night. They recruit pianist and singer Delta Slim to perform with Sammy, Chinese shopkeepers Grace and Bo Chow to handle the supply of things, Smoke's estranged wife and local magical lady Annie as the cook, and their friend Cornbread as the bouncer. Slavery has long been made illegal by this point, but racism is still alive and thriving, as most of the black population still work on large cotton plantations, and their pay is given to them in the form of plantation credits, which are like money, except racist. So with this juke joint, the twins have an opportunity to give back to their community, but most importantly, profit from them. Speaking of profit, we then see a badly burnt, beaten man begging for help at the doorstep of a couple, as he says his name is Remick and that he's been attacked by the Choctaw, an indigenous group of people to the United States. And after spotting a Ku Klux Klan uniform in their home, he knows that he'll be taken in by them because they'll want to save a fellow white person from the people they deem to be savages. But what they don't realise is that their ignorant views is what's going to be the cause of their demise. Not from the hands of the Choctaw, but at the hands of Remick, as the people hunting him are actually vampire hunters, and due to Remick being Irish, there's at least an 80% chance that he's actually won. And once the white couple tell the Choctaw, who are simply just trying to save their lives, to leave, Remick partakes in the traditional Irish pastime of consuming humans for sustenance. As the sun sets, the club's first night begins with everything going well, with each of the respective employees doing their parts to help things run smoothly, when suddenly Stack's ex-girlfriend Mary arrives and she wants to have some fun. But due to Mary being mixed race, but still able to pass in white society, Stack's worried that if the wrong person finds out that she's here, then her life could be in some serious danger, because according to the people of 1930s, God said love thy neighbour, unless they're a black person. But not listening to any of that, Mary insists on staying, and nothing any of the brothers can say to her is going to change her mind. Sammy is finally given his big moment and begins to perform to the crowd, but what he doesn't realise is that he's also begun conjuring spirits from both past, the present and the future, due to some people believing that music holds such powers. But not only do friendly spirits in need of a boogie arrive, but Remick and his new followers, Joan and Bert, are also drawn to it. Remick recognises the power that Sammy holds, and due to him being a vampire, he's trapped in this mortal realm, and he's been forced to watch everyone in his life come and go over the years, and he'd very much like the chance to communicate with them. And because he's Irish, he's going to blow everyone up until he gets what he wants. But in order to get inside, he needs to be invited in, because the thing about vampires is that they're actually incredibly stupid and rely on the good nature of humans in order to actually do their vampiric thing. What's more powerful, an ancient malevolent being or a piece of wood? So, Remic's master plan involves them rolling up to the door and pretending to be a group of travelling musicians, followed by them asking politely. But due to his complexion not being quite melanated enough, and also he's suspiciously happy for an Irish person, he's turned away after performing a little sing-song. But the thing is, while they've been incredibly busy for their opening night, they've not actually been making any money, due to Smoke and Stack's master plan of making money involving starting a business where no one makes money, not exactly working out. People have been paying with plantation credits, so Mary decides to go and see if Remick and his merry band of strange people are actually serious about spending some real money. But after Mary starts talking to the trio, Remick begins drooling from the mouth like a lesbian at the pier, and his eyes begin to glow red. Not sure what type of autism the man has got, Mary pulls a gun out on the group before quite literally being pounced on by Remick. But after the funny Irishman defies gravity, Mary returns to the club as if absolutely nothing strange has just happened and proceeds to distract Stack with the power of her vagina. Sometime later, Smoke walks in on the pair to realise that Mary is actually gobbling him up, but not in the fun way. So in response to this rather unruly behaviour, Smoke pulls out his gun and immediately begins firing into the woman after seeing his brother pouring blood from his neck. But after taking a few loads from Smoke, after taking a few loads from Stack, she starts to laugh before getting up to her feet and running straight out of the building and off into the darkness. Stack, oozing liquid from two different parts of his body, bleeds to death right in front of his brother as they're forced to close down the club on the opening night and send everybody home. But what they don't realise is that they're actually sending everybody to their doom. Cornbread, who was supposed to be watching the door for all of this, left some time earlier to use the restroom, and when he finally returns, suspiciously after everything started to smell like vagina and blood, Annie, familiar with magic and the dark ways, knows that something isn't quite right, considering Mary just had multiple of her holes pumped instead of just the one by Stack. She tells them not to invite him in, and he refuses to come in off his own accord. Due to Cornbread just being a bit weird, she deduces that they're dealing with vampires and explains that once they're turned, their souls are trapped in their bodies, unable to move on to the afterlife while being under complete control by the host vampire. And almost immediately proving that Annie isn't just some kind of crazy person, he grabs Smoke and tries to bite him, before Smoke responds by shooting his mouth open, because apparently Smoke does think it's gay to kiss the homies. After retreating back inside, they then hear knocking coming from the room containing the dead body of Stack. Well, the body that's supposed to be dead, as he then breaks open the door after trying to plead with the others to open it, before running off into the darkness to be with the other vampires. With Remick not leaving, they realise that they're going to have to put up a fight, so Annie explains the only way that she knows how to kill them is either with a stake directly to the heart, or with the use of sunlight because she remembers that Remick is Irish. After finding a body left behind in the building, Smoke and Sammy carry it outside because ooh gross, when they then hear Remick singing a song and notice that he's surrounded by all of the guests who left as they dance around him in a circle. He's created himself an army, and he's going to force this group of black people against their will to achieve what he wants. And what he wants is Sammy. After watching them have a nice little sing-song, along with Remick getting the Irish mosh pit going, they realise that all of the survivors better all eat a clove of garlic to see if any of them are actually imposters. Bit sus. But while doing that, they realised that the person they dragged outside wasn't dead and just in fact very drunk, but Cornbread gets to the man before they can save him. As it turns out, he's just been unconscious for all of the paranormal activities. Remick uses this as an opportunity to try and convert the survivors to have them willingly let him in by telling them that they can all be free together forever, because every time a large group gets together and tries to live free and defy societal norms, terrible things definitely don't happen. No one inside is falling for it, but because Remick has turned Grace's husband Beau, they threaten to go after her teenage daughter if they're not let inside. Remick also explains that Hogwood, the man who sold them this building, is actually the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, and he sold them the sawmill so he could take their money and also round up as many black people as possible in one place before returning in the morning and killing them all. So if they somehow made it through the night, they were not going to make it through the morning. But not many people are going to live to see the morning, as with the threat of her daughter being taken, Grace screams out for them to come inside. The group are armed and ready, so as soon as the vampires enter, they're fired upon, with Remick managing to parry a Molotov in midair, causing Grace to burn to death as she stakes her husband through the heart. Realising that the others can feel Remick's pain, using that to their advantage, Annie hits him in the face with garlic water before she's distracted and turned by Stack. Knowing that his wife is going to be turned into one of those creatures, Smoke stakes Annie through the heart so her soul can leave, and that she can pass on to the other side to be with their dead child in the afterlife, instead of one of Remick's evil pawns. Slim sacrifices himself to give the others the chance to get away, but they're intercepted anyway by Remick and Stack, like Jehovah's Witnesses showing up at your front door at a really inconvenient time. Sammy's love interest Pearline is bitten, but there's no time to get mixed up in the complications of women right now, as Sammy makes a run for it while the brothers stay back and fight each other. Making it outside and away from the commotion quickly makes its way outside into Sammy, as Remick leaps after him and begins to mock baptize him, while Sammy begins to pray. And while Remick's busy doing his classic villain speech, using the power of Jesus and really cool blues music, Sammy hits Remick over the head with his guitar, which implants a silver plate directly into Remick's skull, giving him a non-consensual facial piercing. Not really being a fan of people putting things inside of him, he pulls it out of his face and is about to finally turn Sammy, when suddenly smoke appears and stakes Remick from behind. Remick and his vampire posse, who have been too busy with trying to consume a little boy, didn't realize that the sun was beginning to rise, and they all spontaneously combust and die. Remick and his followers may be dead, but Smoke knows that this isn't the end. He sends Sammy back to his home, looping back to the beginning of the movie, as Smoke's got one final thing to deal with. White boys. Smoke unloads a giant machine gun from the back of a truck that he wasn't able to get to during the vampiric invasion, as he knows that Hogwood and the clan are coming. He's yeed his last har, and as he arrives ready to murder everyone inside for the unfortunate crime of looking different than him, suddenly gunfire erupts from the bushes, and he and his brothers are mowed down by Michael B. Jordan's brother, Michael B. Jordan. After switching to a Thompson and throwing a grenade into a fleeing vehicle to finish it off, he takes a bullet in the process, as it's just him and an injured Hogwood left. So after unloading into him at close range, because there's nothing more fun than unloading yourself into another man, he falls to the ground and dies, where he then passes over to the other side to be with his wife and child as they're all finally free. Sammy being the sole survivor of that time black people met the Irish, we see that he's left his old life behind in the pursuit of a music career, as when we next see him, it's Chicago in 1992, as he's playing at his club named Pearline as a much older man. After shredding those vampires, and a lifetime of shredding the guitar, in a mid-credit scene as the club is closed, he's paid a visit by a vampire, Mary and Stack, as they meet in person for the first time in 60 years. They survived the encounter at the barn, as they never left to be given a non-consensual suntan, and Stack explains that Smoke didn't have it in him to kill him all of those years ago, and just made him promise to leave Sammy alone to live out the rest of his life. And despite him being clearly an evil vampire who does whatever the hell he wants, somehow he agreed to it and has just been silently observing him from the shadows for the past 60 odd years. He offers Sammy a chance to live and perform forever, but Sammy turns it down and sings him the song he sang to him back in the 30s, before the movie then comes to an end. So before this video comes to an end, I'd like to just give a big shout out and a massive thank you to all of the YouTube members and patrons, the people who every month continue to go out of their way to help support the channel. If you're interested in becoming a YouTube member or patron yourself, not only are you just generally being a great support, but you also get access to a few little perks, like being able to join the private Discord server, where you can then get links to all uncensored versions of videos. Starting off with this week's new YouTube signups, a massive thank you to Yola Wono, Matt Weaver, Omar Contreras, Jimmy Mack, Simps, It's Leaky, Thomas Polchalski, Luga Schluger, Gigashot, Drag320 on 05, Matthew Green, Robin West, Stephen L, Nick Bladikas, Bizzolo 4.0, Fernando Osorio, The Prairie Road, Cameron Kelly, Rufals, Nicola Lee Baker, Ainfac Cody, Jan Ventura, Miss Mercury, Mob 1, Totally Not Noah, Myth, Vampira, No Name, Crotexable, Wes Perry, Akella, Zaza Lord, Edward Q, Swiss Lobster, Adam Boswell, The Soldier 420, Het Nakani, Francisco Cardenas Martin, Almost Anything, Mai, Brige, Hestia, Luna Is Yours, Rickboy365, Ashley Taylor, KST, Young Yokai, Travesta 100, Broccoli Boy, Skirt Reynolds, Kale Owen, Sebastian Provest, U2, Quilks VT, Ruben F04, Joshua Davis, Fundy25, Dre Azak, Ananana, B-Moose, Stinkbug, Pixel Gaming, Sky Panda, and N Masters. Now moving over to this week's new Patreon signups, a massive thank you to Cam Asbill, Henrik, Stove, Lugal, The Mango, Jack Lahan, Robert Nebby, Alex Howard, Helen Swindlehurst, Shadows Nick, Jordan, Jimmy Allen, Steve Richardson, Livers, Anthony Reyes, Ethan Rode, Rat Mari, Lou Bird, Darez, Nico Joe, Clayton Shipley, Michael Myers, Addison Diaz, Austin Diaz, Grave Robber, Sebastian Paul, Cosmic, George Ortega, Wes Perry, Sapuku, Sapphire, Valentine Soup, James David, Christian Bassinger, Alexander Benny, Trey Howard, SKSR, Horpia, Selena, Gaming Chefs, Tia Lily, Jocelyn LaForce Regley, Sammy Wiazzi 65, Cameron, Gene Martin, Acronix, Sven Russell, Avin Flang, Another J, Matthew H56, Noah D. Greenberg, Keegan Manoz, Ashton James, Hess, Liam Good, Major Numerous, Bailey Turner, Anabolic Jesus, Nihilus, Mostly Ghost Host, Habdi Debaj, Max Naxton, Layla W, Ann Moyes, Matt, Sebastian Cruz Painter, Cancerous Nut, and Caden Petrino. So once again, a big shout out to all of the YouTube members and patrons, and a big thank you to everyone else for watching.